Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back into the episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we will discuss playing a Noble House Outcast Gang and the Aranthian Succession. We will discuss the positive and negative aspects of playing in the Aranthian Succession, the impact the Aranthian Succession has on Noble House Outcast Gangs specifically. We'll talk about some of your options for alliances, brutes, hanger-ons, as well as hired guns. We'll provide you a 2,400 point starting roster that you can use in your very first game of Necromunda. And not only that, we'll also detail how to play it on the tabletop and how to develop it as your campaign proceeds. And of course, as always, we will also give you critical information that you can use to help out yourself in the campaign as well. Now, because this video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps down in the description box down below. So if you want to navigate to a specific portion of the video, you can just click and move things around as you will. So when it comes to the Noble House Outcast Gangs, these are disgraced nobles who are eking out an existence in the Underhive, being kicked out of the lofty heights of the spire and forced to, live amongst the little folk and the small folk and try to figure out how to make their way in the Underhive as well. The thing about this, though, is it creates very interesting gangs with a lot of untapped potential so far. I haven't really seen a lot of Noble House Outcast gangs out there in the gaming community. Same thing with the guild as well as criminal delegations either. So it'll be kind of interesting to see exactly what you can come up with, and that's exactly what this video is designed to do. So with that being said, let's go and start talking about the positive and negative aspects of playing in the Aranthian Succession. Alright, first of all, let's talk about the positive aspects of the Aranthian Succession. In the Aranthian Succession, you have anywhere between 2,000 to 2,400 credits to spend on building your gang. If you're planning on staying in the Underhive, you only get 2,000 credits, but if you plan on going from the Underhive to the Ash Waste, you get 2,400 credits, 400 of which is used for mounted fighters as well as for vehicles. Now, what this means, of course, is that you can actually build some really impressive builds and some really interesting builds with this increase in point value as well. Unfortunately, many people feel that what they wanted you to do is actually take a standard 1,000 point gang and then double it. And the reason why that's the case is because you can double the number of champions that you have in your gang as well. So you basically make two 1,000 point lists. But that's not what this campaign is designed to be after all. What you're going for instead is a quality versus quantity type of build in the Aranthian Succession, where you're actually just taking your normal box of miniatures, maybe 10 fighters in all, but you're fully equipping them to help them be successful in the Underhive and the Ash Waste. Things like better weapons, equipment, war gear, things that you wouldn't purchase for your gang when you're right off the bat, things like Medicaid kits, respirators, photo goggles, etc. So because of that is exactly what I would recommend you do, is go for a quality over quantity list. And because of this, you have a really good option to making tons of different builds and very unique builds that you wouldn't be able to do so under the normal 1,000 to 1,400 credit list. Unfortunately, there are also some negatives of playing in the Aranthian Succession, primarily through the form of the balance bandwagon. These people will complain about everything with the Aranthian Succession, especially if their specific gang hasn't received any upgrades yet. Unfortunately, Games Workshop just kind of staggers releases for Necromunda with materials dealing with the Aranthian Succession. I'm not sure if this is part of a marketing strategy or the case may be, but a lot of the time, a lot of gangs are without any options or any upgrades to help them in the Aranthian Succession, including Outcast gangs would fall in that category as well. So if you do run into people who complain about that, just remind them that not everything is out yet, and to quit complaining and play. It's pretty much how it is. So you do have to deal with those people. Another negative you have to worry about with the Aranthian Succession is that a lot of it is actually narrative based. So there's a lot of narrative scenarios involved in Aranthian Succession. So if you're really not into narrative play, this might not be the campaign for you, so keep that in mind going forward. And also, like I said before, the quality over quantity thing is deeply to be stressed. I remember this one guy was really upset because he was buying doubles of everything to make his starting gang for the Aranthian Succession at my local game store, and I was trying to convince him that you don't need to double your forces, just fully equip the gang members that you currently have, but he didn't want to listen to it. He had a really bad attitude about it. So if you do run into people like that, just remind them, of course, that quality is where you want to go with this, but if they don't want to listen to you, well, that's their purview. So now that we're done talking about the positive and negative aspects of playing in the Aranthian Succession, let's go ahead and talk about how noble outcasts are affected in this campaign setting. Alright, so let's talk about playing as Noble House Outcast Gangs in the Aranthian Succession. And just like with all Outcast Gangs, you can actually exploit some very powerful combinations within your gang as well. And the reason why that is the case is because whenever you pick a Noble House, whatever weapons and equipment the members of that delegation have, they can actually use for your own gang as well. So perfect example of this, if you're playing, for example, with the House Catalysts, which are the Carnival people, right, for example, they have long rifles available right off the bat. You could use long rifles for your gang, or things like photo goggles, respirators, things of that nature. So if anything that's in the list, like power weapons, bolt weapons, things that you usually can't get for your gang, but your nobles are packing those things, they're now available for the rest of your gang to also possess, which is really kind of nice as well. So because that, you can really equip your gangs with some really powerful weapons and war gear, and when you combine this with the upgraded vehicles that you can actually spend points on now to make better vehicles, it's an absolutely deadly combination that will help you to dominate in your campaign. So now that we're done talking about exactly how noble houses are affected, let's talk about alliances that are available to you. So when it comes to the alliances, if you're a Noble House Outcast Gang, your alliances are extremely limited. You cannot make alliances with guilds, and you definitely can't make alliances with criminal organizations. So because of that, the only alliances you can make are with other noble houses. However, because you are a outcast gang from a noble house, you cannot make alliances with your former house that you belong to. So for example, if you're playing a House Tai outcast gang, you cannot make an alliance with House Tai. You can make an alliance with House Co-Iron, or a House Catalyst, or a House, what's the other one that they also have, another really popular one, House Graham. These are all examples of some other houses you can use. You just can't use your own. I'm not sure why that was the case, but I guess narratively it does make sense. The reason why I say it doesn't make sense is because if you're a guild outcast gang, you can still make alliances with your former guild, and same thing if you're a criminal as well with your former gang. I'm not sure why you can't do that as a nobleman, but more's the pity. Now when it comes to that, of course, because of that, what you need to do is you need to pick the right noble house in order to ally yourself, in order to shore up your weaknesses. So for example, if you're a very combat oriented Noble House Outcast Gang, pick a Noble House Alliance that will help you with long range combat. If you're primarily a shooting gang and you need close combat support, go with House Ulanti, for example, because they have really good close combat as well. Another thing you might want to take a look at too is what kind of benefits these alliances will make for you. For example, House Graham can help you out with ammo rolls, which is always nice. At the same time, House Allanti can also help you out with credits. Same thing with House Helmore. So what you need to do is figure out which noble house will be best suited for your game style and to shore up any weaknesses that your gang has. And those weaknesses that you might have might be strengthened with the alliances that you make from the noble houses. Now when it comes to your brutes, hanger-ons, and hired guns, obviously the most important one you might want to recruit very first is a rogue doc. Rogue docs are valuable, they're worth their weight in gold. Not only can they help you out with fighters who suffer critical injuries, they can also patch up your fighters on the battlefield as well. So always get a rogue doc whenever possible. Now when it comes to your other brutes and hired guns, unfortunately because they don't have anything specific for noble houses, you can only take generic choices for your gang, which is nothing bad about that. The reason why is because some of the generic choices are actually quite good. You still have access to ammo jacks and sloppers, for example. You can also recruit ambots for your gang as well. So because of that, it's not much of a big deal. You can also hire bounty hunters, so it's not that bad, all things considered. So now that we're done talking about the brutes, hanger-ons, and hired guns that you can recruit for your gang, let's go ahead and talk about the starting rosters. Now, note about the gang rosters in this video, I'm only making one Noble Outcast gang roster for you to use. I'm doing this as an example to show you what kind of powerful combinations you can make with playing a Noble Outcast gang. Now, of course, I could do a Aranthian Succession video for all 6 noble houses, but that seems kind of redundant, and the reason why is because most of the information I'm talking about in this video already applies to those other noble houses, and if you want more information about what kind of lists you can make with the Noble House Outcast gang, I have plenty of videos on this topic with outcast gangs that I have on this channel. You can easily look up the individual house that you're interested in and see what kind of insight I had about that specific house, and then of course you could just increase it to match the 2400 point level, because otherwise I'll be making a bunch of videos on this topic and I really want to address other ones as well. So the 2,400 point roster that I'll be using for my example today is a House Catalyst Nitro Circus, is what I like to call it, Outcast Gang. This starting roster is valued at 2,400 points, so you will be playing an Outcast Gang from the Noble House of Catalyst. I picked this group because of the interesting build that I thought I could make with it, and that's why I chose it. So first of all, you're going to have your Mass Killer. Your Mass Killer is going to cost you 260 credits. This fighter will be the leader for your gang. You'll make this fighter a Gunslinger archetype with mesh armor, a Mastercrafted long rifle with infra sight, a last pistol, photo goggles. These things automatically come with the fighter. You will need to buy, however, a respirator 15 credits, so that way this person is a little bit more resilient against toxic gas attacks, as well as come with the dodge skill. You'll give them the fast shot skill because of their Gunslinger archetype, and of course they have the Artistry of Murder, a special rule attached to them as well. Now, after that, you'll have two Outcast Champions, one number 1 and number 2. They both will cost you 200 credits apiece. However, they're equipped differently. The first one's got the Gunslinger archetype with mesh armor. They have a long rifle with an infra sight for that long range shooting. They also have last pistol's backup weapon. They also have photo goggles as well as respirators to fight in all conditions, and they have the fast shot ability. Outcast Champion number 2 is equipped exactly the same way, except that they're a Mastermind archetype. And they also have mesh armor with a grenade launcher, fire and crack grenades with last pistol and photo goggles respirator. And for their skill, they're going to have Overwatch, that way you can interrupt enemy activations with a grenade launcher, which is always fun to do. Now, for your gang, of course, you'll also have a Mind Freight attached to this because of delegation. This guy's going to cost you 190 credits. You're going to equip this guy with the Waster's Dirt Bike, so that way he can be far away from the rest of the main body of your gang. You're also going to equip with mesh armor to make it a little more survivable. Same thing with the respirator and photo goggles, so that way he can fight in all conditions. However, for his weapons, he has a pair of flails. He comes with the Berserker skill as well as the Infectious Terror ability, which basically it makes your opponents break and also causes penalties for cool tests and nerf tests if this character gets shot. So because of that, you want to keep them away from the rest of your gang and kind of put them out at the point directly towards your enemy to trigger their cool tests. After that, you'll have two Outcast Hive Scums, number 1 and 2. They're both equipped exactly the same at 190 credits apiece. Both will have mesh armor, last pistols, and blasting charges. Both will have photo goggles as respirators, as well as mounted on Waster's dirt bikes. Then you have two more Outcast Hive Scum, number 3 and 4. They're both equipped exactly the same at 120 credits apiece. Both have mesh armor, last guns, last pistols for backup weapon, photo goggles, as well as respirators. And then finally, you have two Scum Racers, Scum Racer number 1 and Scum Racer number 2. Both are equipped exactly the same at 250 credits with photo goggles and respirators, and they're driving custom medium vehicles with transport beds to transport your troops. Now, you might be noticing that this list is a little bare bones, and the reason why is because of the two characters you're going to be putting in this group. You're going to have two bounty hunters in this gang, and that's where most of your credits are going to, about 500 credits worth. You're going to recruit the Dramatis Personae characters, the Shadows of Catalyst, which are a two-man group of bounty hunters that you can recruit. And I figure since you're a House Catalyst Outcast Gang, and narratively this would fit and also really help out your gang as well. You're going to have the bounty hunter Arbalesta Rain Catalyst. She's going to cost 250 credits. She's equipped with mesh armor as well as a needle long rifle with infra sight, a needle pistol. She has photo goggles, respirators, as well as Kim Synth. She has the infiltrate skill, precision shot skill, trick shot skill, as well as unique partnership, bounty hunter, and slotted special rules. Her unique partnership special rules allows her to recruit her brother as well if you decide to recruit her. So because you'll be able to recruit both these fighters, and she's a long-range killing machine. Just look at her skills, look at her stats. She's absolutely dangerous, and she's going to be bringing the pain for you. And then lastly, you have Amarista de Catalyst, which is Abralesta's brother. He also costs 250 credits. He has mesh armor as well as stiletto sword and stiletto knife. He's got photo goggles and a respirator. He's equipped with Kim Synth. He's also got counterattack skill, inspirational skill, rain of blow skills, as well as unique partnership, the bounty hunter, and the bodyguard special rules as well. So while Arbalesta is really good at long range shooting, Amarista de Catalyst is really good at close combat. You're to keep this guy sticking him with your mass killer for your leader to keep him protected. Like I said, this game's gonna be very, very powerful right off the bat. Now, for your alliance on this one, in case if your campaign does allow an alliance system, you're going to make an alliance with House Helmwar, the Imperial House, and the reason why is because it's a good balance of things. First of all, you can actually use one of your territories and actually tap it twice as one of those ways to generate additional income for your gang. At the same time, the penalty for being with this gang is actually quite easy, with many owning them D3 times 10 credits, which is not very much. And probably the main reason why you're taking this group is because the Palanite Companions. The Palanite Companions have armored undersuits with layered flak armor, and they both are packing very powerful disintegration guns, which makes great medium to long range shooting and close range shooting. They both have have stub guns with magnacles, and they also have the Overwatch skill, so they can interrupt enemy activations. They have the Fearsome skill, which protects them from being charged against, and they have the Peerless Bodyguard special rule as well, which is going to only help out your gang leaders. And this is what I like to call the Nitro Circus list at 2,400 credits. So now that we're done talking about your gang roster, let's talk about your gang overview real quick. So this gang is actually going to have quite a bit of fire teams on this one. It's actually going to have 5 fire teams. So let's talk about that real quick. First of all, for your Assault Fire Team number 1, it consists of your Mass Killer as well as Amarista de Catalyst, as well as Paladin Companion number 1 and Paladin Companion number 2. They will be mounted with Scum Racer number 1 in your gang. Assault Fire Team number 2 will be in your cavalry forces that consist of your Mind Frayed as well as your Outcast Hive Scum number 1 and Outcast Hive Scum number 2. These are the guys that are all mounted on their own Wasters dirt bikes. After that, you have 3 support fire teams. Support Fire Team number 1 is mounted with Scum Racer number 1. It consists of your Outcast Champion number 1 with the long rifle as well as Outcast Hive Scum number 3 with the last gun. And then Support Fire Team number 2 is also mounted with Scum Racer number 2. You also have Outcast Champion number 2 with that one with the grenade launcher, as well as Outcast Hive Scum number 4, who has the last rifle. And then lastly, your Support Fire Team number 3 will be your Infiltrating Sniper. That will be Amarista Rain Catalyst, and she'll make her own fire team as well. Now, when you deploy, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure your Assault Fire Team number 2, which is your cavalry guys, those guys are going to be in the front. Your Wasters dirt bike riding guys are going to move forward as quickly as they possibly can towards your enemy. Hopefully, the Mass Killer will be triggering some break tests for your enemies to make them have guys run away. At the same time, the other 2 Hive Scum will be lobbing blasting charges and hopefully just blowing people up left and right and center with those powerful explosives. Now, immediately behind your Assault Fire Team number 2 is Scum Racer number 1 as well as Scum Racer number 2 with their crews falling them forward. What ends up happening is that your Support Fire Team number 3, who is Amarista Rain Catalyst by herself, she infiltrates someone onto the battlefield in an advantageous position where she gets some really good long-range fire that she can rain down upon her enemies. Now, when the Scum Racers are in range, Assault Fire Team number 1 also dismounts as well. The Mass Killer, Amarista de Catalyst, as well as the Paladin Companions create a line of fire, and then they advance towards the enemy, opening fire on them with their weapons as well. Amarista takes care of everybody in close combat, and also at the same time try to protect the Mass Killer at all costs. Meanwhile, the Outcast Champion, the Hive Scum remaining on Scum Racer number 1, these are the guys armed with the last gun as well as long rifle. Scum Racer number 1 continues to flank to go towards a flanking position, whatever is the most advantageous for them, so that way they can launch some long-range shooting. And while that's happening, of course, your Outcast Fire Support Team number 2 also goes to directly the opposite flank as well, opening fire with their grenade launcher and last gun as well, hopefully catching enemy in crossfire. And then finally, your assault elements charge forward and finish off everybody who's left behind and kill those guys. And that pretty much makes up the tactics that you'll use for your gang overview with this list. Now, we're also going to do something a little bit differently in this video and talk about exactly how this gang should develop as the campaign progresses. The first thing you should do, of course, is recruit a rogue dog as soon as possible, so that way you can patch up any fighters who are critically injured. However, even if you do suffer critical injuries before you recruit a rogue dog, that's not that bad. There are Hive Scums that are easily replaceable, so not such a big deal. Now, while that's happening, of course, purchase high strength weapons or high damaging weapons for your Scum Racers. I would recommend either mining lasers or las cannons, and the reason why is because you want to use those weapons to destroy enemy vehicles as well as high value targets as well. So again, those weapons will help with accuracy. They're also very powerful, highly destructive as well, so that way you can take out enemy vehicles. Now, I also suggest you recruit 2 more Outcast Hive Scum and then fit those 2 guys out for close combat. Things like chain swords and las pistols, for example, would be a good combination to put on these guys. And the reason why is just in case the twins from the Shed of Catalyst leave your service. If they do leave your service, you'll at least have those 2 guys who I'll basically help out. At the same time, if you don't lose the twins, you have these fighters could still help out your assault elements and make them a little more deadly as well. Now, once your manpower needs have been met, what I highly suggest you do is purchase hotshot last packs for all of your fighters wielding last weapons, such as last guns as well as last pistols. What this will do is increase their strength to strength 4 and also give them -1 AP as well. Granted, they lose the plentiful trait, but you're still talking about a very highly accurate strength 4 attack, which is always a good thing. And that's exactly how this gang will develop as time goes on. So in conclusion, upgrading your gang to the Aranthian Succession campaign is a great way to fully equip your gang with nearly unlimited options, and also allows your creativity to shine with the kind of builds that you can also go to as well. Now, once again, I go with the caveat that you should always focus on the quality of your troops versus the quantity of them in these situations, so keep that in mind. And with new material dropping all the time, with new vehicles, new gang members, new organizations popping up all over the place with the Aranthian Succession, we will be keeping up to date with all those changes, and once again, I will create make videos in order to help you out in order to achieve what you need to do in the Underhive and the Ash Waste as well. So that's good for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com if you want to keep up to date with current projects that we're working on with the hobby side of this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. I'm Commander Cheapskate. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.